All right, everybody. I'm gonna do our notes. So can you stop working on the student class and look up here? It's short and sweet. We're talking about constructors. It'd be great if I didn't, if you guys were paying attention. Uh, Constructors. We talked about this last week. Constructors have no return type, and they have the same name as the class. So what constructors do is they set the initial state of all the variables, all the attributes. So for example, here's a book class. Uh, uh, you can see it's got private string author, private string title, and then the constructor accepts the author and title and then sets those variables to those values. This A and this T, these are temporary variables. In effect, they're this last name Murakami and 1Q84, great book, by the way. Uh, uh, those things, this is somebody else would make a line like this that would create a new book, and it would call this constructor and then set the values accordingly. The variables passed in as parameters only exist inside the constructor. So I'm talking about this A and this T. You can't, in another part of the class, use A or T. They're just inside of that constructor. After the constructor finishes running, those variables don't exist anymore. So I recommend not using your private variable names as the parameters. See how I'm using A for author and T for title? Because if you use the actual names, you have to do this. So look up here. You haven't seen this before. I say this. You have to use this keyword. If the variables are the same name, Java needs a way to keep track of which one you're talking about. And so if you use the word author up here, then you have to say this dot author to indicate the private permanent variable, as opposed to the one called author, which is just a throwaway variable. And I think you'd agree that this is slightly awkward. It's easier to not do that. Just use A for author, or AUTH, or just something that's different. You're going to see the this command or the this keyword more later in the course, but for now it might show up. If you create a class, by the way, and you don't write a constructor, Java will set all the variables to their default values. So ints to 0, doubles to 0, strings to null, and so on. That's not necessarily what you really want. So normally we do write constructors. So here's an example. I made a battery class. I got these two private variables, and there's a toString, but there's no constructor. And so if I created a battery, right down here, if I created a new battery and printed it, I would get brand null charge 0, because there's no constructor. Thank you so much. I felt quite exposed without my backpack. Had my roll sheets and all my. Yep. Hopefully you got good money for my AirPods. They were old though, so. I also recorded this, so and you'll be able to see the slide deck. Thank you. Everybody, you can overload constructors. Remember, overloading is when you have more than one method or constructor with the same name, but they have different signatures. So here's 3 person constructors for some mythical person class. One just takes N for name, one takes name and age, one takes name, age, and color for eye color. Interesting. And you could have all 3 of these in a class, and Java figures out which one to use when you're, when somebody tries to create a person. It looks at the signature, and the signature is not the variable names, it's the type and order of the parameters. So really the signature is string for the first one, and it's string int for the second, and it's string int string for the third here. I have a question for you now. Which constructor on the right would be allowable as a 4th constructor, and why? So I copied the string int, string over there. And then here's 3 proposed additional constructors. Only one of them will actually work. Don't say it out loud, but try to figure out for yourself which one over there would be a possible fourth constructor, because I'm getting paid by the constructor.
Amen.
Joseph.
Maybe one.
The problem with one is we already have a string only. So it doesn't matter what the name of the variable is. So one is out. Somebody else want to guess? Max? Magic. Dark magic. Joseph. It would be 3. 3 is int string string. See, we didn't have int string string. We had string int string. And the order matters. The order and the type is what matters. So 1 doesn't work because we already had a single string. 2 doesn't work because we already had string int. That's string int. 3 works because it's a different order. Int string string. Java's like, hey, I can do that. Yes.
Would int string work?
Int string would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, int string would work fine because we don't have one there. Yeah, I said all that. A word about toString methods. Most custom classes have a toString method. It always starts public string toString, and then it always returns some kind of string, some kind of text. ToString methods don't do any printing. They just hand the text back to somebody else who wants them. So here's an example of the battery class. It returns the battery brand and the charge level. Somewhere, someone else does a call like this: battery B equals new battery, print, and then, gets the information. And remember, if you ever get a print, you're trying to get a print and it's supposed to be pretty, but you get like battery at F43A7B27. That means that there's a problem with the toString method. It means the problem could be that you didn't write it. The problem could be that you capitalized the word toString wrong. And so it was looking for literally small t, small o, capital S, and then the rest lowercase. If you spell it differently, it's not going to run. That's one that's hard-coded by Java. So anytime you try to print an object, it's going to go find that object's toString method and then use it. ToStrings can have logic in them also. So here's an example. If you look here, I made a temporary empty string. I mean a string that's empty called temp. And I did on this, I put low charge into that string and then sent it back if the battery charge was below 70. And so that way, if it's 70 or above, it doesn't say low charge. It says, hey, the size is this, the volts are that, and then nothing. But if it's low charge, it says low charge. So you can put logic. You can have if and else, all that kind of stuff. This is another way to do the same thing. I just said if charge is less than 70, then return the phrase with low charge at the end. Otherwise, return the phrase without low charge at the end. So you can do all kinds of things. So, hey, now we're going to practice some more. I've got a cat class. I think it's been assigned to you already. I think. Let's see. Yep, plus the slide deck. So now I'm going to stop the recording.